Although Thanksgiving meals are best served warm, revenge on the Lions was served cold. But what about cold turkey, you say? No matter, our Packers are glad to be back at cold Lambeau Field hosting the Chiefs next Sunday night. There's so much to talk with you about, so it's all coming up on your Packers Fan Podcast.
What's happening, Packer backers? I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast, and I'm very thankful for the win over the Lions this week. Not only did I have one of the best Thanksgiving meals of my life, yes, I went back for seconds, but I got to enjoy it in front of one of the best Packers performances of the year. It's really given me hopes for the possibilities, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you once again.
And me, I'm Wayne Henderson from the Don't Blink Doctor Who podcast, and I still can't believe that every winning team on Thanksgiving got a turkey leg except for our Packers. We was robbed, but I'm just glad we won. And this is episode 287 of the Packers Fan Podcast. This week, Scott and I are going to recap the highs and lows from the convincing win over the Lions that Scott thought we were going to lose. And we've got listener feedback. It's always a highlight of every episode of the podcast, and this week is no exception.
Then it'll be time for us to preview next Sunday night's must-win game against the Chiefs. And what are the keys to a Packers victory over the Chiefs? I'll have those for you as well. So let's get into it with the Packers leaders in the Lions game. Kicking things off with Jordan Love, who is 22 for 32 for 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and by the way, a passer rating of 125.5. I still have no idea what that means, but I know it's high. So that's pretty cool. Rushing, A.J. Dillon was a leader with 14 carries for 43 yards. Receiving, Christian Watson, 5 catches for 94 yards and a touchdown. And Jonathan Owens on defense was a leader with 12 total tackles, 8 of them solo, and 1 touchdown. Yes, 1 touchdown. Pretty good stuff there. What do you say, Wayne?
I think it was fantastic. Even if we just went with the stats from the first half, it would be fantastic. I mean, what a way to start the game. The very first play from scrimmage, we throw for 53 yards down the field, successfully, I might add. And just a few plays later, a 10-yard Jaden Reed touchdown to just stun the crowd in Detroit.
It was great, and, got a little deflated when the Lions came back and just did the same thing, marched down the field. But on our second drive, the Pack responded with another touchdown. This one was to the tight end Kraft, who has had a great start as the replacement for Musgrave, who's out for quite a while. This was also Kraft's first touchdown pass. It really could have been his second. I don't know if you remember last week, he almost made it to the end zone with some fancy footwork, but wound up just out of bounds a few yards shy. But that was a really awesome play to see. I love when these young players get their first touchdown. It just makes it feel like you're seeing magic happening in the moment. It's awesome.
That's because we were seeing magic happening.
Yeah.
And just a little while later, the goodness continued for Thanksgiving. We had a strip sack fumble and then a touchdown. You alluded to Jonathan Owens' touchdown. And I'm thinking to myself, are you freaking kidding me? Is this really happening? I was going to do a Simone Biles style kind of backflip there in the living room. But Scott, I did not want to have to go to the ER, not on Thanksgiving. And what was weird was Anders Carlson missing the extra point.
Yeah, that's becoming prevalent a little bit. I don't know. I'm getting a little nervous about those, but he hasn't lost us any games at this point. But he's young. I'm still gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But that play was just awesome to see. I just love getting excited about Packers football again. It feels great. And speaking of excited, how about Jordan Love's 37-yard run, which is his officially longest run ever as a Packer, or in general. It's so cool seeing him do things. He's doing really well behind the pocket, or in the pocket, excuse me. He's throwing good passes. I mean, he had some misses, some of that would have made for a really stellar, like an absolutely stellar game. But overall, he was locked and loaded this week, and I'm really loving seeing him firing on all 6 cylinders, or 8 cylinders, whichever type of.
It's a V12. That's what we're going with.
There you go.
And then on another drive by the Lions, we caused Jared Goff to fumble again, and we recovered it on the 22-yard line. What is happening? Our defense showed up early. And unfortunately, we did go for it on 4th and inches, and this was just a comedy of errors. A.J. Dillon runs right into Jordan Love. The Lions were able to take over on downs, but the woulda, coulda, shoulda was so close.
I mean, if you look at it this way, it prevented them from getting points. So even if we didn't score on it, we kept them out of our end of the field, and that's really what matters. So, and speaking of 4th down stops, how about the defense just in general stopping the Lions on 4th downs consistently this game? At one point, the Lions were 0 for 5 on 4th down conversions. They did wind up getting 1, so they were able to round out the day with 1 4th down conversion. But still, huge props to the defense. That was really, really great to see.
Oh, for sure. And what's funny is even when the Lions were 0 for 4 on 4th down conversions and then doing it again, why did they keep trying it? It was not their day to succeed with 4th down conversions.
Pretty much. We could go on all day talking about just all the great things that happened in this game. It just felt amazing to watch a somewhat stress-free Packer game. No heart attack pack. Just really enjoying watching them dominate. I mean, it was closer than I feel it was, even though the Lions had more time of possession. It's just because we were scoring so quickly, I think, more than anything, and turning the ball over. So, but we got to talk about some lowlights. The big one is the injuries. The big one. I mean, obviously Aaron Jones is out, but I mean we don't really have a full list. It's a little bit early to know who's going to be in or out for this coming week. But Luke Musgrave is the one that's kind of the talk of the week. He had something in his abdomen that was torn, and like a torn kidney or a spleen or something like that.
Something like that. That's
lacerated.
Not a good thing.
That is an injury you don't hear about often, but LaFleur said that he doesn't know if he's going to be returning by the end of the season. And when a coach says that pretty much means he's not going to be returning by the end of the season. That's a huge bummer, but thankfully Kraft is filling in the gap, at least in this first week that he took up the mantle, quite well. So, I mean, it was 2 weeks, really, if you talk about the previous week as well. But still, I mean, look what they did with so many players out this week against the Lions, on Thanksgiving Day in Detroit. Huge. It really shows the strength of the roster depth at this point. It's just really, really great to see. And also, on a positive note, this is apparently just in. Dontavion Wicks has cleared the concussion protocol, so we could see him come back this week as well. So hey, look at us putting a positive spin on the lowlights.
They've all got to come back sometime, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to Anders Carlson making more of his kicks, because what do we have? 2 missed kicks in this game? A field goal and an extra point?
Yeah.
I don't want the Packers to get nervous about their kicking game like they appeared to be last year with Mason Crosby. And it's probably just a fluke, but it's a long season. He is a rookie. I understand.
Well, and also think in the past of where we were at with special teams. We were awful on special teams, and especially in the defensive part of it, like defending against the run backs and all that. So I feel like if we're going to have a kink somewhere, I almost would rather have him miss some of these on occasion than putting the other team in scoring position so early, so often, like we were in years past. So, there's got to be an issue somewhere. I'll take it where it's not going to give us a loss. I don't know, Wayne. I don't really have a whole lot more negative to say about this. There was mostly good things this game. I really was struggling to come up with any negatives other than the fact that Jordan Love didn't go for over 300 yards. Like I wanted him to do it 2 weeks in a row. That's the really only bad thing I can say.
That would have been fantastic. The one thing that's kind of a negative, I'm so thankful we won the game. Let me remind everybody, I am thankful. And it was Thanksgiving, so win-win. But I have a question, Scott. Do you think our offensive and defensive plans were changed at halftime since we were so far ahead? It kind of looked like we took our foot off the gas, maybe even on both sides of the ball. Or did we thankfully just give it all and leave it all on the field in the first half? It didn't have anything else to go for us in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy for me to sit on my couch, and complain about, about players not giving 110% for 4 quarters. I mean, that's kind of expected. You don't want to push your players too much. You want to have the lead and you want to protect that lead. And I'll never encourage the Packers to rest on their laurels. I'd rather protect a lead than chase a deficit any day of the week. But it's really hard to complain after their performance this week. They really stuck the landing and they came out the gate swinging, which has not been our MO this year at all. We've been relying on the third and fourth quarters to be playing catch up, and instead we just came out swinging, and that should be just what we do in the future. That just makes more sense. Agreed. Well, that's what we thought about this. Let's hear what the listeners said. We'd love it when you guys share your feedback with everyone here on the Packers Fan Podcast. So let your voice be heard and be part of the show. Recording your voice on your phone or computer and emailing the recording to feedback@Packers Fan Podcast. It's a really good quality that way. Or you can also call in the PFP voicemail at +1 920 3PACK-GO. We really do appreciate those calls.
The deadline after the Chiefs game, because this is going to be Sunday night, we need you to be Johnny on the spot, as quick of a turnaround as you can manage. Please, 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 if at all possible, get those messages in by Sunday night at midnight Eastern. In other words, right after the game. Dial us up, record it on your phone, send it right in, and be sure to include your best Go Pack Goes for the community outro. We've got Joe and Dan and Megan at the end of this episode. We want to add your name to that list. Go Pack Go, Scott.
Go Pack Go indeed.
Wayne Scott, Art from Texas. So they're saying there's a chance. What a game, man. What a game from both offense and defense complementing each other. Jordan Love, man, he was threading that needle. Special teams were great. Kicker, could use some more work there. But, man, what a victory. Hopefully the momentum will carry on to next week against the Chiefs. Hopefully it'll carry on the whole season. And there's an outside chance that, we could make it to the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully if everything falls together, they can get there. But great, outstanding win. I know I'm calling in a little late, but got caught up with festivities at work. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everyone. Go Pack Gold, green and gold, tapped and cold.
Thanks so much, Art. Go Pack Go indeed. Appreciate the call. Yeah, we've said plenty about Anders Carlson. Like I said, thankfully it's not losing us games at this point. I'd probably be a little bit more upset if it were. I just kind of am chalking it up to that he's trying to get those nerves knocked out. I'd rather him missing them when it doesn't matter as much as later on in the season when we're really concerned about playoff contention. So, yeah. But what a great win. He mentioned momentum. I feel like this could be the turning point for the Packers this season. I mean, we've got a huge uphill battle coming up this week. Fully aware of that. But if we can somehow get past Kansas City, the rest of the schedule looks very doable. I mean, 4 of those games should be no-brainer wins. Minnesota could be a question mark, but man, this was the perfect time to get a huge win like this right before hosting Kansas City. I just hope that train keeps on rolling.
You're saying there's a chance. We'll talk a little bit more about chances later on the show.
Happy Thanksgiving, PFP community. Man, what a win, especially when I'll be honest, I didn't really expect it. I felt it would be competitive, but, didn't expect them to really come out and take it to the Lions. Aggressive in the first half, both offensively and defensively, which makes the second half a little bit frustrating, but, at least they were able to hold on during the win. Matt LaFleur, at least the beginning of the game, came out, stuck true to his word about, being aggressive and everything. I just wish he would have done it at the same time in the second half. Let Jordan Love continue to cook, because he played absolutely phenomenal. He had command of this offense. Offense was humming the majority of the time. To be fair, also they had a very good running game today, and that was really nice to see. Defense played pretty well for the most part. Felt like Jonathan Owens around the line of scrimmage played really well. Corey Ballantyne got a little bit exposed today. He's still a young player, rookie or second year player, whatever he is. Overall, it was a really nice win by young Packers team. 5-6. I'm not going to sit here and say I expect them to make the playoffs. Obviously making the playoffs would be awesome, but I don't hold too much home. I think so 7-8 wins is still a good season for a very young team. They've continued to show progression and everything like that. I think Jordan Love is starting to show that he can be the quarterback for the future, because man, did he look good today. I know I said it already, but man, he showed a lot of poise out there, made a lot of great throws, a lot of throws that we didn't see early on in the season. So, 5-6, hopefully can pull it off in pull it off against Kansas City next week. As always, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed, David. Thank you so much for sending that in to us. And yeah, a lot of people did not expect that huge of a win over the Lions, or a win at all. Except for I kind of did.
You always do, Wayne.
I know, and sometimes it works out. David, great to hear from you. And yeah, the first half being aggressive was great to see, and the second half at times could be called frustrating. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, I'm just glad we came out with the W, but I'm just loving hearing people praising Jordan Love. They're not asking like, is he the guy? And we're not having those conversations anymore. And the comparisons to Aaron Rodgers, they're just talking about him being the Packers quarterback, and that's what it should have been from the very beginning. And I feel vindicated that we're getting these positive comments about our guy taking the snaps. It feels good.
It's a beautiful thing indeed. Thanks again, David. Looking forward to hearing from you next week, hopefully after a Packers win over those Chiefs.
Hey guys, Mark from New Lisbon. I'm definitely sharing my excitement. I don't know if I've ever been more excited to call about a Packer game. I mean, it was so much fun to watch, and it just kind of checked all the boxes of a great Packer game, and it was just a lot of fun to watch. But just checked the box. It was Thanksgiving, and you have a national TV audience, so that makes it special that the whole country could see how good Jordan Love and the Packers are. And you're playing a divisional rival that kicked your butt the first time at Lambeau, so they had a lot of motivation. And then you're just on the road in a hostile environment, so it's just great that the Packers are on a roll at the perfect time of the year. When you want to be maybe thinking about playoffs, which was something when we were 1-4 we definitely didn't think about. So I think everyone knows how easy our schedule in December could be. So keep the faith, Packer fans. It could be a special December. Jordan Love was fantastic. The first pass of the game, I just thought set the tempo for the whole game, that 53-yard pass to Watson. I love that we took the ball first when we won the toss, because too often we put the defense on the field and we were in a hole. Rashawn Gary, what a great story that is. 1 year after his ACL surgery, he had a great game with 3 sacks and a forced fumble. Jonathan Owens was fantastic. 12 tackles. McDuffie, he's really fast and physical. He was great. And then Christian Watson was great. He had a big TD. I think he's taken a lot of criticism, but he's one of my favorite Packers. So it was just great. It was, like I said, the most fun I've had watching a Packer game. And guys, we're in the playoffs. What do you think about that? Is that a legitimate possibility for the Packers? Thanks for taking my call, and you have a great podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed. Mark, thanks so much for the call. We have a chance for the playoffs. I'm not going to say we're in the playoffs yet. Let's temper our expectations a little bit. But I will agree with
the playoff hunt.
In the hunt. There you go. It was so much fun to watch. I love how you said it ticked all the boxes. That was one of the things I was struggling with in preparing for this episode, is trying to come up with something bad that happened. Like, most of the bad stuff that I could come up with was stuff that happened before, which was the injuries. So I don't know. I'm smiling. I'm grinning from ear to ear just about how much fun this game was. He made a good point about winning the toss and taking the ball instead of deferring. Doesn't it feel like we were always deferring Like
Yes.
every week, it just
Because we were.
I've never understood that strategy, because you're setting yourself up for coming from behind, like automatically, and taking that more aggressive approach and trusting your offense to do something. I feel like hopefully that will switch. And he also mentioned Rashawn Gary, which is someone I did not mention in the defense. But yeah, 3 sacks and the forced fumble. Look, what a day for him, especially on that anniversary he was talking about, when a year ago things were not looking so good for him. He's back, baby. He's back.
Indeed, he was. And I think we're going to continue to, if we win the coin toss, accepting the ball, because I think that alone could have some sort of mindset shift for the players. I don't know what it was, but just everything about the aggressiveness was fantastic to see. Mark, thank you very much. Have a nice week in New Lisbon while we wait for Sunday night. Let's see who else sent us a message to the Packers Fan Podcast.
Go, 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 Pack, go! Happy Victory Thanksgiving Day weekend. Is that too much? Okay, whatever. Wow, did not expect that. Went into that game as huge 8.5-point underdogs, but on a day where nearly everything went right, what can you say? I'll take the W. The only negatives that I could really see was that Anders Carlson missed PAT and then the missed field goal, but that was from 63 yards. And let me talk about this real quick. I see a lot of people jumping all over Anders Carlson. One, he's a rookie. 2, he's only missed 4 field goals and 3 PATs. One of those PATs was blocked when Josiah DeGuara decided not to do his job when the ball was hiked and just let his guy run right past him. And one of his missed field goals was the aforementioned 63-yarder. Now, to put that in context, the NFL record is 66 yards. There's 2 people, Justin Tucker and Matt Prater, who have kicked it from 64, and 6 players who have ever kicked a 63-yard field goal. I don't know what more you want. I mean, if he would have made that field goal, he would have been tied in 3rd place with 6 other players with the longest NFL field goal attempt. And he came pretty close within a couple of yards. And again, he's a rookie. And how about the player of the game, Rashawn Gary? That man was a beast. Just over 380 days after tearing his ACL, he comes back to face the exact same team he injured it in last year. For one, that's got to be a career game for him. 3 sacks, 2 of them causing a fumble. One of them, I think the third one was a fumble and it was recovered by Goff. What more? This game was the epitome of what we've been wanting to see all season. The last 2 games, really. Like we've talked about, we want to see growth, we want to see development, and we want to see better timing, but especially between Love and the pass catchers. And I truly wish that practices weren't so restrictive. And I'm talking about the number of practices that the teams can conduct that are very limited. I think they can only have 17 practices per season in pads, and 13 or 14 of them have to be conducted before week 13 is in the books. So that really, I think, hinders the development of the timing and the synergy amongst the quarterback and the players. I loved when they won the flip of the coin that they did not defer. I think deferring is the wrong way to go, even though most of the NFL teams seem to do it. But I feel that gives a chance to set the pace and play to defend the lead instead of chasing the lead, which usually means abandoning your original game plan. Now, here's a fun fact. Jordan Love is now the number 9 all-time passing yards leader. Who would have thought that would have happened already in his first full-time season? And we're not even done with his first season. And he's doing it with the lowest paid skill position players on offense. That's pretty much everybody except for offensive line. And that's saying something for the future, because we're seeing, like I said, in the last couple of games, a lot more growth has been made more evident, especially not just from the wins, but just the timing, the catches. We're seeing a lot less drops. I think we're seeing fewer penalties, or at least fewer penalties that are, drive-killing penalties. So that's a great thing to see. Now let's talk a little bit about the playoffs. They're saying we have about a 45 to 50% chance to make the playoffs right now. And looking at our upcoming schedule, it's looking pretty favorable. In the past, I was not really a fan of wanting to get our team into the playoffs because who wants to be embarrassed? But I started thinking about it. You want to go in the playoffs because we always hear about when the playoffs start, oh, this is a young team. Most of these players never even have experienced playing in a playoff caliber type of game. Well, our boys need that experience. And if you look at that schedule, like I said, you got Kansas City next week, the Giants, the Bucks, and then I'm going to pull out a little Wizard of Oz, the Panthers and Vikings and Bears. Oh, my. And one of those games, your captain, Captain Jack Sparrow, will be attending the New York Giants game where the Green Bay Packers will absolutely crush the New York Giants. Now, don't forget to go to Packers Fan Podcast and click the fanatics.com or the Amazon affiliate link and get all your Packers gear. Let's take on these Chiefs. Let's bring home a win. Go, 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 Pack, go!
And away he goes, flying off into the sunset. Before we dig into his comments, he had some really good ones. He had a quick PS to consider.
One funny thing I forgot to include in my original voice recording, NFL schedulers, if you could please schedule all Packer Lions games during a waxing gibbous moon, whatever that is. The Lions are 0-13 whenever that happens. So that would be awesome. 0-13, that's a guaranteed win. Let's do it. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed. Dan, thank you for the PS and the call.
He had to be like channeling the NFL with their stats recorded. Like, oh, the Lions are 0-13 when it's a waxing gibbous moon. Where did you dig up that stat, man?
Somebody did dig that up. I saw them talking about that, and it on the television at one point. Might have been one of the post game shows, but it's like I don't know who even thinks to look into that. I don't even know what that means, but hey, they're 0-13 when that happens. So, hey, they were 8.5 point, favorites over the Packers, and we showed them, right?
Yes, I'm just still laughing about that.
Dan, thank you for all the great points, and I didn't know that the restrictive practices, the number of the practices, that it was that low. That's not very many practices. Yeah, we're talking about practice. That's not very many.
Is that like a players' union kind of thing? Or is it an NFL regulation? Or
it's probably a union thing. I just have a feeling that back in Vince Lombardi's days, there were a lot more practices.
Yeah, probably. Practices as punishments.
Yeah, that too. But since all teams have to abide by the same rules, they're all just trying to get by with not very many practices. And an excellent point as well about Jordan Love is excelling even with some of the lowest paid skill positions because of their rookie contracts and stuff that all the wide receivers and stuff are playing under. It's amazing.
I remember when everybody was calling for Gutekunst's head.
Yeah, and benching Jordan Love and all that happy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, where are those guys now?
There's still some out there, believe it or not. And something else, Dan, talking about playoffs. According to the New York Times NFL Playoff Simulator.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a thing. The Packers actually, this is important and very true. The Packers now control their own destiny. The chances of the Packers making the playoffs, if they win out, 100%. Now, of course, that's a tall order. So the chances of Green Bay making the playoffs if they lose to KC but still win out the rest of the games, 99%. In fact, the chances of the Packers making it in the playoffs if they lose to KC and even Minnesota, we still have an 81% chance of making the playoffs. And I think the numbers stunned Sir Troy. He wanted to confirm these wild-sounding numbers, so he used the ESPN machine, and it's true. It's all true.
Sure, yeah. I don't know how much weight I mean, I guess probability, you can't argue with those numbers when it comes to the worst case scenario of what could happen. Sure. The silver lining with that is the worst case scenario on there is losing to Kansas City and Minnesota, which are our two biggest games left. The other 4, I feel like we should win. And I say should. We should win those games. But 81% chance if we win 4 of those 6 games, that feels pretty good. So do I think they're going to win out?
Scott's laughing at the thought of it. But I wanted to let you know my optometrist is working on the new prescription for my rose-colored glasses. I should have those very, very soon. And if they can get finished and fine-tuned before, quote-unquote, playoffs, this could be a rosy thing.
My only thing with this is these numbers make it seem like the game against Kansas City is not a must-win. And I feel like the Packers need to go into it as if it were a must-win for momentum's sake.
That's a good point, because we did hear about momentum earlier. I think that was from Art.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's still a must-win, guys. I don't want the Packers to see those stats. That's what.
No, hide them. Just tell them to win coin tosses, accept the ball, and score early and often. Now, Scott, we do have some emails that came in as well for the listener feedback. We need you to channel listener voices here.
I'm going to do my best. I cannot pull off a Megan, but here is Megan's email. And she says, I got my Packers time off for the Thanksgiving game and am now in the middle of 4 12s in a row, so email it is. Victory Monday and Victory Friday in the same week. Can I get a Go Pack Go?
Go Pack Go, Megan.
Do I sound like a broken record when I say Love is legit? He's either taking all the criticism to heart and proving people wrong, or he's simply talented in proving people wrong. I'm going with the latter. What a rock-solid way to get the game started. Love a la Watson for 53 set the tone, and the team proceeded to maintain that tempo through 4 quarters. And it was such a balanced game in terms of defense and offense. I don't even know where to begin with praising the defense. I mean, can I just say Rashawn Gary and company? But legit, everyone showed up front and on the back end. They totally came to play, and it showed. I feel like the defense playing well propelled the offense to get well, which gave defense enough time to be able to play at a high level all game. Like a well-oiled machine, a team. Let's give a quick shout-out to Tucker Kraft for his first official full touchdown after a halvesy last week. And actually, not even last week. They had an extremely quick turnaround that included recovery and travel, and they still played like that? She also says, is Keyshawn hurt? Many of you know that I unfortunately live in Vikings territory, but the newspaper had a great article on the game the next day. It talked about how Jordan basically told Matt LaFleur to relax in true Aaron fashion and to be confident in the game plan. What a freaking leader. And I give Matt credit for listening. True teamwork all the way around. Time for a bit of rest, and then we host Mahomes and the Chiefs. Time for December football, a brand of football that Matt seems to love. Let's get some more A.J. Dillon action in the cold and keep this momentum going. Green and gold till dead and cold. Let's go! She also adds, I think we will continue to rock and roll and stun the Chiefs 21-20 Green Bay.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. 21-20. Thank you so much, Megan. And Scott, nice reading. I appreciate that. Also got an email from CCR in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It seemed like the old Packers were back this short week, especially all the touchdowns we had. So happy about the performances. And although we did stop them numerous times on 4th down, we must try to do even better with our defensive plays. Now we hope we can recover and see what we can do for the rest of the season. Until next time, Packers family, go Pack Go, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher.
We also got an email from the Jared Bachini-Kerr. He says, to legends also known as Scott Clark and Wayne Henderson, what a game. This is the first game in a long time where it was not only enjoyable throughout, but also where the Packers dominated in every phase from the start of the game. It seemed like every major issue that the Packers had for that really rough few-game stretch had been remedied in this matchup. Jordan Love played the best game of his career, and if he can keep this up as a standard of play, then I can 100% see him being our guy. Can I also talk about that dude's countenance? His demeanor is ice cold. I love how nothing phases this dude. He can spend a game pressured all game long, and he looks calm, collected, and in command. I also love seeing him on the sidelines looking at a tablet. It's clear that he's doing his homework off the field and even during the game. Let's hope that this is the start of something special in Green Bay. Rashawn Gary, dude is earning his newly acquired paycheck. Love that he locked in a new context with him. Defense as a whole is looking like nothing we've seen from a Joe Barry-led defense. Jared Goff was under duress constantly. Jaden Reed is quickly becoming my favorite rookie wide receiver. The Jordan Love Christian Watson connection we were promised in the offseason finally seems to be manifesting itself. And Matt LaFleur called arguably the best game of his career. He was aggressive, he trusted his guys, and most importantly, he didn't abandon the run game when nothing was really happening on that front. The list goes on. It's great being able to look at a game and rattle off so many highlights. I'd still like to see the defensive tighten up its defense and the team as a whole to clean up dumb penalties, but loved the win overall. The guys seem to finally grow from their mistakes, and even if the green and gold don't make the playoffs, the next best thing we can get from this season is to have it be a season of evaluation and growth. They need to give themselves and the fan base something to point to and have reason for hope. Now, that being said, the Packers suddenly find themselves in the wild card hunt. If the Vikings, aka purple incarnations of Satan, lose one or two and the Packers keep this streak up, they might find themselves making it to the dance, and just in time to have lots of key players back from injury. Go Pack Go. Until next time, Jared in Colorado. P.S. What did you guys think about that absolute dart of a TD pass to Jaden Reed? That needle was thread so freaking tight, I thought it was intercepted until I saw Reed with the ball in his hands. Talk about a Rodgers-esque pass. You know, I'm glad he brought that up because I didn't put that in my notes. I thought the exact same thing he did. I really thought it was intercepted. It did not look like he caught it from that angle. When he wound up with it, I was like, oh, we got it. Yeah! I really was... Had a whole flurry of different emotions on that. So thanks so much for the email.
Lots of emotions. Thank you, Jared. And Scott, I also thought the same thing. I thought it was intercepted and was quite surprised that it was not. And love your nickname, Jared, for the purple ones.
I knew you'd like that. Well, we're going to move on to our weekly poll question, which we posted in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com and on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. The question this week was, which rookie is impressing you the most this season? I kind of had a feeling this poll might go the direction that it did, but I thought it might be kind of fun anyway. So the choices were Daniel Whalen, Jaden Reed, Lucas Van Ness, Carl Brooks, and we had a write-in vote for Carrington Valentine that was added by Dan Dyler. So what do you think, Wayne, out of that list, what's your answer?
Out of those names, I'm like, you could make a case for any of them. The punting's been on point, but as far as maybe the last 3-4 weeks, I do think it's Jaden Reed that's kind of a standout lately.
Yeah, that is the easy answer. I'll kind of throw Whalen in it as a wild card because the guy dropped 4 punts inside the 20-yard line this week. That's consistency that we have needed from special teams in a long time, and I don't think the dude gets enough credit. So, it's hard to not go with Jaden Reed, but man, Whalen deserves more credit in my opinion. Valentine as well. He's always in the right place at the right time. It seems like I'm always seeing him on the ball. So I think he was a good pickup as well. And actually, Dan had a comment about that because we had some comments on the poll, and he says Valentine has really emerged in my eyes as a great value. He was drafted in the 7th round and was not a starter till Alexander went out the past few weeks. He's played in 10 of 11 games and has 21 tackles with 6 passes defended in filling in for Alexander. So yeah. He's been a solid pickup, and he'd be my close third.
Oh, I like that. Well put, indeed. The votes, after we combined Twitter, X, as well as Facebook, Jaden Reed did get 86% of the votes. Lucas Van Ness got 4%. Carl Brooks got 1% of the votes. And Dan Dyler's write-in vote for Carrington Valentine did get 9% of the votes. So very solid
love for the
stuff
punter.
Indeed. It's a lonely job.
The lonesome kicker.
Ooh, more singing from Scott Clark. If you haven't heard his rendition of Walk Like a Man turned into Talk Like a Fan from a few years ago, that was a moment indeed. In addition, some of the other great conversations in the Facebook group unrelated to the poll question this week. There was a lot of discussions going on about how Jordan Love and the Packers were snubbed by Fox TV on Thanksgiving. No turkey legs or turduckens for the victors. And there was lots of rumors and conspiracy theories going about how maybe Fox was so confident the Lions were going to win that they already had the turkey emblazoned with the Lions logo. I think that still would have been a cool way to give it to us, because then we could devour them again. And I just got to say, folks, you have not lived until you've seen Sir Scott in his Packers onesie for Thanksgiving.
My wife picked that up at like a consignment shop for $2.
Whoa,
and
money well spent.
Seriously, you have any idea how hard it is to find clothes to fit a 6'2" guy like myself as it is? But to find a onesie that fit me, it literally zips all the way up. And I asked my wife, can I wear this to Thanksgiving? And she's like, absolutely. What do you think I bought it for? So,
nice.
Yeah. Everybody else is all dressed up. I'm in my onesie, sitting on the couch watching the game. Well, hey,
and
you
smiling.
Yeah, absolutely. You can also check out all the action, join in, especially for our live game chat discussion. Your calls, emails, comments, and support are so much a part of the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you for everything that you guys do. Remember, to be part of the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be a part of the conversation, head over to packerscommunity.com.
And now it is time. Your 5-6 Green Bay Packers are back home to host the 8-3 Kansas City Chiefs Sunday night, December 3rd at 7:20 p.m. Central Time. Scott, are you sitting down and ready to be shocked and stunned?
I am, sir.
Okay, the Chiefs, at least at this point, lead the series, 8 victories to 5 and 1 tie. The first time we ever played the Chiefs was in Super Bowl I. And what a way to start a rivalry, kind of a rivalry, I guess, but we'll be in the Super Bowl. And speaking of one, we won, obviously, 35-10. We went up against the Chiefs most recently. It was about 2 years ago. We lost a low-scoring game, 13-7. This, of course, was the game Aaron Rodgers had to miss because he was diagnosed with COVID-19. So on short notice, Jordan Love had to start the game. So he has faced the Chiefs before. And although it's tough to consider any game between these two teams as memorable when you compare it to the Super Bowl I matchup, on September 28th, 2015, Deb and I joined Sir Troy to see the Packers beat the Chiefs at Lambeau Field 38-28. Thankful we stopped off at Walmart on the way to the game to get some cheap rain ponchos, because at halftime, let me tell you, we really needed those ponchos. And near the beginning of the third quarter, you know how the TV networks have that spider cam that's on the cables?
Oh, yeah.
It seriously looked like it was going to take all of our heads off as it whizzed by. And we made it on TV for about a half a second as we were all ducking in our ponchos, so you couldn't see our faces. But it was memorable.
That's pretty funny. I'm reminded, talking about the Chiefs, of my wife and I, who have made it a mission to visit every NFL stadium and do a tour of the stadium before we die. And we actually have toured Arrowhead. It's one of the ones that we've toured somewhat recently. And that one was actually a lot of fun. I love learning all the fun facts, like just the fact that that stadium is actually sunk below ground level was just fascinating to me, and it was really cool. We actually got to step onto the field. It was a lot of fun, and I even got to visit the locker room and see where MVS gets ready for home games, and I'm not bitter. Yes, I am, but it was still a really good time. Got some great photos. They're on the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group. Had to do some digging, but it was a really good time out there.
Sounds like a plan. I'd like to visit a few more stadiums myself. Mm-hmm. Now, back to Lambeau. Sunday night's weather is forecast to be cloudy and very cold. There's a 30% chance of rain, which could even turn into snow flurries. About 32 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff. That's, of course, 0 degrees Celsius. So bundle up, Packers fans.
That ain't cold. That's not cold.
Well, other than the weather, Scott, what can the Packers do to get their third victory in a row and beat those Chiefs?
Oh, I suppose you're looking for some keys to a Packers victory, Wayne? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm looking for, Scott.
All right. Strategy number 1 is pretend Mahomes is Jared Goff.
Oh, wow. Okay. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Turnovers were a huge factor against the Lions this week, and if the Pack can avoid being intimidated by the reigning MVP, they've got a shot here. Containing him is going to be key for this game. He simply can't have any time back there to make something happen. As much as I like the guy, he needs to be firmly planted on the turf. If the defense can do a repeat of what they did against the Lions, the offense can do the rest. Number 2, take advantage of the stone hands of KC. The Chiefs' offense has had some serious problems hanging onto the ball. If you want to keep that happening, our young secondary really needs to step up this week. This cannot be Kansas City's turnaround week. It's a bit of repeating of strategy number 1, but if the defense does its thing, it plows the road for Jordan Love to have another great game. Strategy number 3, I'm going to say the cliche right now. I say it for a lot of time at home games, but feed off the crowd. I know this is pretty much a no-brainer, but I think the Packers really should feed off of the energy of the hometown crowd. As Wayne mentioned from the Chargers game, the Packers fans are more fired up than they've been all season. They just came back from a huge win over a solid team on their turf on Thanksgiving in front of a massive audience. I'd really like to see some fan management from the players, hyping up the crowd, asking for silence when they're on offense, and just echoing the positive energy that is bound to be prevalent at Lambeau. And also maybe a little bit of emotion from Jordan Love. Not too much, but, how about a smile? I'd like to see. I love that he's focused and cool and collected, but, I want to see some more smiles out of him.
Okay, well, how about this?
Yeah.
Great keys to victory. Those sound like winners to me. And how about if Jordan Love runs 39 yards in for a touchdown, does a Lambeau leap? I think smiles will definitely happen at that point.
39. Wow, are you calling his shot right now? 39-yard run-in?
My prescription for rose-colored glasses is still being tweaked.
Ooh. I'm gonna fall out of my chair if he gets a 39-yard run now.
What if it's 40? You'll say Wayne underestimated it.
Oh yeah, look at that. Optimistic, my butt. All right, well, let's talk about the wager of fun. As you guys all know, Wayne and I predict the scores each game, and we kind of keep track of who's winning, who's losing. We guess the scores. I guessed incorrectly last week. I really thought that Detroit was going to win this one. I put a score 27-17, so my differential does not matter. Wayne's really doesn't matter either. He guessed Green Bay 21, Detroit 20, but he did have a differential of 10, so he does get the W this week because the game wound up with a final of 29-22 in favor of Green Bay.
Yes.
As for our listeners, we only had 3 listeners that chose Green Bay to win. So Jay Walters, Garrett Stritzel, and Tyler Seaver all guessed correctly, but the one with the lowest differential was Jay Walters, who guessed 26-24 in favor of Green Bay, which gave him a total differential of 5 points. Dan and David still have a tie for first place with 3 wins apiece. Jay Walters is in second place with 2 wins, and then Brett Connor is in third place with 1 win. As for Wayne and I, Wayne got one up on me this week, so it is now 5-3 in favor of myself. I still got 2-win lead over Wayne, and I'm gonna stick to it. I'm sticking to it, my brother. And I'm actually in favor of me. I'm going to predict a Packers win. I know that does not seem like me, but I'm feeling pretty optimistic, man. I'm feeling pretty optimistic. I think this is, even though your goofy ESPN stat tracker thing says it's not a must win, I think it is a must win, and I think the Packers know that from a momentum standpoint, and I think they're going to come out swinging. I'm going to say Green Bay 24-21.
I like that a lot. I'm going to go with Packers 22 because there's bound to be a missed kick, unfortunately, especially in this weather. Packers 22, KC 20.
Nice. Our picks this week, we got a few here from the Packers Fan Podcast listener. Brett Connor says that Kansas City is going to win 27-17. Ouch.
Brett.
Beth said, with the Chiefs' amazing defense, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Hopefully the Pack will maintain momentum. She says Green Bay 10, Kansas City 6. Man, that'd be – I would take that in a minute. Megan says Green Bay 21, Kansas City 20. Garrett Stritzel says Kansas City 28, Green Bay 20. And David Newman says that Kansas City is going to win also by a score of 28-20. Wow, Jared McChinney-Kerr says Green Bay 38, KC 17. Jay Walter says Green Bay 28, Kansas City 25. And Travis Baker says Green Bay 31, Kansas City 24.
Amazing. Jared, to see the Packers score 38 points on Sunday Night Football would be fantastic. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. The NFC North, things are bunching up a little bit in some places. The Lions are 8-3. You know, they lost on Thanksgiving.
They did.
The Packers are 5-6. Now, the Vikings are 6-5, and the Bears are 3-8, but they will be playing each other in about 15 minutes on Monday Night Football. Wow, that'll be exciting. And I don't know, do we root for the Bears to lose or the Vikings to lose?
What are you talking about? Of course, go Bears, man. As much as it pains me to say that, go Chicago Bears, please.
How about
couldn't help us out. You couldn't help us out last week with the Lions. Help us out this week. Those Bears they're gonna lose out of spite, just to spite the Green Bay Packers.
I hear you. We need the Vikings to lose more than we'd like to have the Bears lose. So that mathematically makes sense.
Yeah, that game kicks off here shortly. I think I'm going to have it on in the background while I do some work upstairs. Other NFL happenings. Are we going to talk about the turkey leg situation, man? Is it a conspiracy? Did they really brand the thing too early? I mean, I would have been fine if they brought the turkey out with a big X over the Lions logo and the Packers one right next to it. That would have been completely fine with that. I'm like you. I would have been fine with Jordan Love eating a turkey that had the Lions logo on it. I've been like, we were, like you said, we're eating the competition.
Oh, well put.
I just feels like that's a tradition that if you make a mistake, figure something out. Did you see? I was watching, what's his name? Greg Olson, like tearing into this turkey. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. And there's also a rumor that they make one for the guys announcing the game so they can have it as a prop, and then another one for the winning team. But yeah, I did see Greg Olson tear into it. It was a little bit creepy. Weird.
Yeah. Looked like he was like doing an autopsy or something. It was. I mean, you're telling me on Thanksgiving Day there's only 2 turkeys in the entire stadium? They couldn't drum up.
Question. Oh, drum up.
Yeah, right. You see what I did there? I don't know. I'm not like weird. A conspiracy theorist and all that. I'm not super angry, but it is kind of a bummer because that's like been a tradition, especially since like weren't all the players wearing like the John Madden logo on their jerseys like all day, like all 3 games, and that's been a tradition. Why did they stop it with? I don't know. I just want to know where the ball got dropped there.
It was definitely dropped because I think we're the first winning team in about 25 years that has not been presented with at least turkey legs after the game.
Yeah.
Oh well. We'll see what happens next time we play on Thanksgiving. And I think you can agree with this, Scott. Sunday NFL games don't seem quite as exciting when the Packers already played their game, previously on Thursday. I'm like, none of these games are really interesting. Although the NFL games were very, very good to my fantasy team.
Most of them were good to me. My wife beat me this week in fantasy football, and that feels really embarrassing because I was destroying her, and then stupid Jared Allen had to get 40 points. But I'm with you. The games aren't quite as exciting. I'm watching them strictly for fantasy football at that point. But I would take the relaxing Sunday with a W behind us than the heart attack pack that we're used to. So.
And that we might get Sunday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Wayne, did you know I have another podcast besides this one?
Wait a minute. When did this start? When do you have the time for that? What's going on?
It started 10 years ago, if you believe it, man. My other podcast is called The Gaming Outsider. We release a new episode every week. This week was no different. This Wednesday, we're releasing the latest, and we are discussing how we would run the Game Awards if we were in charge of them. If you're not familiar with the Game Awards, it's basically the video game equivalent to the Oscars, but not quite as fancy. I also talked about my time playing the remaster of a game called Super Mario RPG, which is a favorite of mine from my childhood. It was a really fun remake. I liked it. You can hear my show at the same places you listen to this one, and you can also check out our website at thegamingoutsider.com.
Very cool indeed, because it's a Mario. And I've got my Don't Blink podcast for the Doctor Who show. It's called Don't Blink. You can find it at don'tblinkpodcast.com. This past weekend was the first of 3 60th anniversary Doctor Who specials, and just seeing David Tennant back as the Doctor, this time they're calling him the 14th Doctor, and his companion Donna Noble, their comedy timing is gold. So that was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see indeed. Don'tblinkpodcast.com. Thank you so much for giving back to your Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon. We really, 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 really appreciate it. Details for becoming a patron and other ways you can support the PFP are all at packersfanpodcast.com/giveback. So, Jay Walters, AR12 level patron, thank you, and Go Pack Go. Also, Go Pack Goes and thank yous to Dan Dyler supporting at the Jordan Love level, coming into his own in more ways than one.
Also, how about our great Brett Favre level Patreon supporters, Megan, Scott Boers, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, Colm Nolan from Ireland. Thank you so much. Also, some Go Pack Goes and thank yous to these fine Curly Lambeau level supporters, Joe Christensen, Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts. You guys rock. Please check out all the details at packersfanpodcast.com/giveback. As a reminder, we are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and we are not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers directly, but we would love to be if you guys are listening. Please tell your friends about the Packers Fan Podcast, and thank you so much for listening.
And follow us on Twitter, X, at Packers Fan Pod. Follow Scott at GoCastScott, or follow me at Wayne Henderson. And now, here's our community members, Joe Christensen, Megan, and Dan Dyler with their Go Pack Goes to make sure we're ready to root the Packers on to victory over the Chiefs.
Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go!